been told that you're controlling? Do you need things to go your way in order to be okay? Have you ever been told that you're rigid or a perfectionist? If yes, you're going to want to watch this video. So welcome. Today we're going to talk about how to step out the controlling ego behavior and how to shift out of this controlling behavior. Many of us go through life tightly, intensely gripping the steering wheel of our lives, almost like we're trying to control every single aspect as we white knuckle it around the bends. We try to control our external circumstances, and we even try to control other people's behavior. So maybe our husband or our kids or our boyfriend. We can't delegate tasks because we need to do everything ourselves because we need to be in control. Or more, maybe we're borderline obsessive about how our home looks, or borderline obsessive about our image and what we project to the world. Or maybe we need everything to be exactly as we want it to be in order to be okay, such as the time that the kids go to sleep each night, or that our husband takes the garbage out on the schedule we've created. All of these are us reacting to life from the controlling ego. So anytime we're trying to force things to happen, or we're trying to determine outcomes, or we're trying to make things happen according to what we believe is the best, is us reacting to life from the controlling ego. Admittedly, I'm intimately familiar with this controlling behavior, and my kids and my husband have become professionals at calling me out on it. So what is underneath this drive to control? Fear. Fear is the root. So underneath this drive to control is fear. We're afraid to allow our lives to bump up against us. We don't trust in the flow of our lives. We don't trust that we are fully supported by an infinitely powerful force, i.e. the universe, guiding us and supporting us. So allow me to share a story with you. Several years ago, when my youngest child was 1 year old and my eldest was 4.5 years old, we were on a vacation in Croatia. And the night before we were meant to fly back to Vancouver, we discovered that our airline, Lufthansa, had gone on strike. So it was literally 8 p.m. and our flight was at 8 a.m. And we had no clue all of a sudden how we were going to get home. We knew that we would fly from Croatia to Germany, but beyond that, we didn't know where they would redirect us, what city we would get stuck in, for how long. We basically had no clue how our trip would unfold. As we talked, I found myself getting more and more excited. I remember enthusiastically saying, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing. We have no control. We have no idea where we're going. We have no plan. This is such an adventure." And my father-in-law, bless his beautiful soul, said to me, "What's wrong with you? You have 2 small kids and you don't know how you're getting home. This is crazy." So long story short, it went fabulously well, and we had an adventure that we wouldn't have normally had we have not had Lufthansa go on strike. But I wondered then how could I be so excited about the unknown and be so happy to not be in control and just go with the flow when I was traveling, but I couldn't transfer that to the rest of my life. So it begs the question, if we let go of control, what are we afraid of? Why are we afraid to let go of control? So perhaps the fear is, if we let go of control, life will pass us by or leave us behind. Or perhaps the fear is that if life doesn't support us, there's a fear that life doesn't support us. It feels like that life is something we need to harness or master or control. And if we don't master and control and harness life, that we'll just fall off that horse that is life, and then what? And then we'll be just left sitting on our ass, defeated, broken, helpless. Or maybe the fear is that we are afraid to trust other people. And therefore, we always need to be in control. or we don't trust in the divine or that the universe supports us, and therefore we need to be in control. So for me, when I sat with this, what I saw was driving my need to be in control stemmed from my childhood. So my fear was if I wasn't in control, life was going to go to shit. So when I was a child, I was the eldest, and my mom, when I was little, went through some really, really tough emotional years. So as the eldest and the only girl, I energetically tried to take on her burdens for her. I desperately wanted everything to be okay. So I had a fear-driven need to take control and be in charge. With my intuitive healing sessions with clients, I have often seen my clients as children in homes that felt very out of control. So alcoholism, abuse, rage, fighting, tension. And of course, to a small child, this feels very, very scary. And so one of the ego behaviors or beliefs that may develop, this is just one of many, is this feeling of, I need to be in control. Otherwise, things are scary or bad. So left unhealed, we then carry this forward into our adulthood. And even though perhaps this chaos isn't happening around us, if something triggers us, we jump into this controlling behavior. I need to be in control in order to be safe, right? I need to be in control in order to be safe because otherwise bad or scary things are going to happen. So that's what happens when we don't heal it. We carry that forward then. But all the ego is a self-created protective mechanism that we developed when we were small. And so what may have worked to shield us from more fear and pain when we were little doesn't serve us in the long run into our adult years. Because when we live our lives coming from the ego and fear, we cage ourselves to this boxed in fear-based way of living. So we cage ourselves in there. And when we come from a place of fear and ego in life, we prevent ourselves from really knowing the magnificence that we truly are. So how do we heal this? So the first step is always awareness. Spot it in yourself. Are you somebody who is controlling? Have people in your life told you, hey, you're controlling? I've heard that. So sometimes our ego behaviors are best shared with us by our brave loved ones who are willing to say something. So the second step is healing requires that we venture inwards and we go to the root of the pain. We go to the root of the fear. And often this means going back into childhood where this took root. So this is usually most often best done with someone who can help you and help support you and guide you and navigate that process so that you can release the buried fear and buried emotions. So let's talk practical now. So what happens if you know where you're at? So suddenly you're kind of jumped in that controlling behavior and you know that's where you're at. So how do we shift out of that in the moment? So let's make this practical. So step one is to stop. So pause. Take a few deep breaths. And step two, open your heart. Open your palms. Soften your body. Right? So pause, open the heart, soften the body. Step three is to remind yourself that you are safe, right? So I'm safe. I'm safe to open my heart. I'm safe to be vulnerable. I'm safe to trust and not control, right? I'm safe to allow. The fourth step, if you can remember to do this, is really powerful, is to imagine holding. And I mean literally in that moment. This isn't in meditation or some time that you set aside for healing work. In that moment, after you've paused, you open your heart, you're breathing, you've reminded yourself you're safe, imagine yourself holding your little one. So what you maybe looked like between the age of 3 to 7, let's say. So you imagine holding that little scared boy or little girl, and you remind her or him that she or he is safe, right? So the I am safe becomes we are safe. Most of the time when we are triggered or we're in the ego, we're responding from the ego, reacting from the ego, it is the scared, hurt, intimidated little child inside of us that is reacting, right? So that we are safe. So the more often we spot ourselves in this controlling behavior, the easier it gets, and it really does take practice, the easier it gets to pause, open the heart, open the palms, breathe, and remind ourselves that we are safe. The more we practice this, the more we're able to come into a place of allowing in life, trusting, and accepting. The more fluid we become in our lives. And this is when everything begins to open up for us. So it's helpful to work with someone to help you go down into the root fears or the buried emotions so that you can release that. And then it doesn't become such a knee-jerk reaction or a hardwired response to respond or to react in that controlling ego way. So reach out at any time for support. You can visit me at rachelshonaker.com. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.